Welcome to Bob Cargill's Marketing Show, a ridiculously awesome podcast bursting with insightful commentaries and intriguing conversations on the topics and issues that are on the minds of marketers, advertisers, social media, and PR professionals today.
Hey everybody, this is Bob Cargill, and this is Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. Yes, another episode 202 of Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. This can be heard on Podbean, where I host my podcast, my platform, if you will, but also wherever, as they say, you listen to your favorite podcast. And I hope this is one of your favorite podcasts. It can be listened to Spotify, iHeartMedia, wherever. Google, wherever, Apple, wherever, many places, countless places. And I hope you do listen to it. I hope you do watch it. I will put it up on YouTube. I will break it up into chunks of content. As the marketer I am, the content marketer, the content creator. I'll share it all over social media, as will Michael. And Michael's my guest, and I'm going to introduce you to Michael right now. Michael Granoff, both of us go back a long time. First of all, say hello, Michael.
Hello, Bob. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be so much fun.
I am so excited to talk to you, and I have my head spinning with questions and also stories that we could tell and reminiscing. But, I'm 40 years or so into marketing, and 35 years or so in corporate marketing, if you will, corporate world, advertising, marketing agencies. I was on the client side a bunch of times as a copywriter, creative director, content creator, social media director. Now I'm teaching a few different schools in Boston. I love teaching. And I love, Michael, that we have reconnected after all these years, a couple of years ago or so, after our respective careers in the corporate world. I mean, we're still working real hard, probably harder than 9 to 5.
I think so.
But differently. And I just want to tell people, we worked together years ago, and we've had parallel careers in marketing. And I know what I wanted to say. I know I'm taking up all this time, Michael.
No worries.
It's going to be your show. You are the star. But look at this, everybody. And Michael, you're in my book, right?
That's right. We're in the book.
I'm trying to hold it up.
It was such an honor to be in the book.
Is that cool or what?
It is cool. Look at that. Look at those two young guys.
I don't think we've changed.
No, hardly. Well, maybe a little up here.
Well, we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about how marketing's changed and again, our respective careers. And it's all about you. I'm just the host. It's Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. And my very special guest, Michael Granoff. Michael, tell us about your journey. It doesn't have to include anything about me. I wanted to include everything about you, please.
Well, thank you. Well, let me begin first of all by saying that to do this, I need to see clearly. So, it's been quite a ride, and in fact, the first almost third of my career seems like it was in a total other world. I started out in the printing industry, as you know, and it was a family business, and I watched my father start that business and spend most of his career in it. And when I joined him after a short time in the business, I thought I'd do that forever. That was going to be my thing. And little did I know that life had different plans for me. About 15 years into it, when he decided to retire and left me kind of running the show, I found that I wasn't loving it without him. There was something missing, that whole dynamic that we shared, the fun that I had working with him. He was in a different space and a different spot. And so I started thinking about other opportunities, focusing on the stuff that I was always very self-conscious about not knowing more about, namely the marketing end of what we were servicing, because we were really a design and print shop more than anything else. So we serviced a lot of direct marketing agencies, as you know. We started to dabble with some direct work, but I really wanted to know more about that. So I backed out of that business and entered the marketing business on the corporate side. Short stint with a small direct agency that we both know real well. That was a great experience because that taught me a lot about creative. But then wound up taking a contract position with Citizens Bank in their direct marketing group. And boy, what an education that was. And I figured, well, I can do that for a year or so. And 8 years later, I left them to go to Rockland Trust. I never thought I would be there that long, but it was a fabulous place to be with great people and to learn quite a bit. Totally different viewpoint, and learned a lot about data and analytics and modeling and things that I just really was craving more experience with. And short story long, after spending a little bit of time leaving there and going to Rockland Trust for a while, that was a different experience because it was a much smaller environment, headed up business banking, marketing there. And then from there, went over to Santander for another almost 8 years. And in total, I think that was the most insightful experience of all three. I probably learned more there. I'm so grateful to all the people that I worked with there, especially my managers, who really gave me an opportunity to stretch and learn a lot more about not just direct marketing, but really about performance marketing, because we were so folded into the digital team and really becoming a digital first marketing group. And that was both an enjoyable and educational experience. And I wound up running the one-to-one group there for a few years. And then from there went over to run the business banking, marketing, and strategy group. So I was running strategy and planning for both small business banking and commercial banking. That opportunity sort of ended as Santander reshaped their future. And in fact, a lot of the people that I work with now, including the people that helped me into retirement, we'll say, have also moved on. And so that left me thinking a lot about what I really wanted to do. And it's difficult these days for people in our cohort, as you probably know, to re-enter the workforce in a traditional way. So I thought, well, what can I do that I will enjoy? And maybe I can establish a portfolio of things that I can do. I'd always been a magician on the side, as you know. And I'd always thought that...
you always had a few tricks up your sleeve when I worked with you years ago.
That's true. And I always I've always been impressed by the way magicians think. I mean, my feeling is that magicians have to be amazing all the time. And if they're not, then they don't work. In marketing, I was more than impressed by the fact that over all the time we've worked together, the number of times that I would see creative work, unless I was working with you, Bob, or some other notables, even with big shops, and certainly internally, it was few and far between that I would see work come back to us that we would all go, wow, that's amazing. What a great idea. We've got to run with this. And the one time that I did see it, when I was still at Citizens, the folks that were making the decision about it were too scared to use it, which was a shame. Ultimately, it did get used. And that was their Good Banking is Good Citizenship campaign that ran with Ogilvy back in like 2012 or something. But again, these things are few and far between. So I started to think about, well, gee, maybe I could come up with a way, an entertaining way and an insightful way to help people think differently about the idea generation process. And so I came up with this workshop called Sleight of Brand, which talks about how magicians think, and by understanding how magicians think, how we as marketers can sort of stretch our thinking a little bit to explore more possibilities and more sort of miraculous outcomes rather than settling. And I think today, and we'll get into some of this, I'm sure.
Yes.
Today, I think because we have so much technology at our fingertips, a lot of my colleagues have said to me many times, gee, marketing in the industry just feels like it's being mass produced. It feels like it's nice and pretty and it looks great, but it's not that differentiated. No one's really out there with unique value propositions and unique marketing that is really insightfully creative and really gets at the heart, So Sleight of Brand is just a platform through which I try to influence and add to the quiver that creative people, experienced designers, innovators already have. And that, in addition to some other consulting work that I'm doing and some speaking opportunities that I'm scoping out, is filling my time.
So, Michael, you summarized your 30 years or so, is my guess. Long journey, parallel to mine in a way. Me, a multitude more jobs probably, but same industry, marketing, and same geography, the Boston area, and our careers have overlapped on numerous occasions. We've done some work together, served some clients together, and we've seen all kinds of changes. What hasn't changed, I feel, and I'm curious. So we're going to get into Sleight of Brand. I want you to talk all about that and the magician part and the fact that you do tricks, and I'll put you on the spot, maybe even ask you to do a trick. I don't know
Sure.
if you could do one on Zoom, but I know you're good at all of this. You're great at all of this. You're ridiculously awesome at all of this.
It's kind of you.
What I think we have in common is the networking and the keeping ourselves out there and building friends. We had NEDMA back in the day, the New England Direct Marketing Association, where I was president for 1 year, on the board for many years. And now we have AMA Boston, the American Marketing Association Boston, where I was president, have been president for 4 different years, and we see each other at those events. What do you think of the importance? Because I want to get into all what you were saying about marketing as a practitioner, et cetera, et cetera. But what do you think about networking and the importance of all of that contributing to the success in one's career? How important is that to you?
Oh, it's a cornerstone, Bob. You know that. I mean, you're a champion networker yourself, and I think that if you stop making connections and talking to new people and expanding the relationships, rekindling relationships as we've done, you stagnate. I mean, you can't continue to grow in a bubble. We can't, especially nowadays, because most of us are working more remotely than ever before. And even those that are in the workplace, it's a hybrid situation where you're not seeing all of your colleagues all at once. And it's extremely important to get out there and to meet people face to face and to share ideas and to make new friends and to make those new connections. And you never know where we can help each other. It doesn't happen every time you go out there, but it's all about, just like it is in business, it's just about building relationships where you find common ground and build on that common ground to everybody's mutual benefit. And it's a critical thing, and it's fun. I mean, it keeps us young in the industry. Despite how I look, I only feel like I did 30 years ago. But I think that's because of the energy that comes from the networking and keeping in touch with people and sharing in the way that we do.
I don't think either of us have changed, Michael, and I believe that's a good thing. I'll speak for myself, but you look great, and when I talk to you, I feel like it was back when we first met each other. And I said 30 years ago. Frankly, I think it was 35 plus years ago, which is insane. Maybe
it would have been like 90, 92 or 3 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's
back
30.
in the previous century.
Yeah, definitely. Older, I'm sure, than some of our listeners and viewers. But I want to stress to the listeners and viewers of Bob Cargill's Marketing Show the importance of networking. And I tell, because I teach now at 4 different schools in Boston, college students, and I really say what you said better than I can say it about, please don't put yourself in a bubble and live in a cocoon and all remote and not get out there and meet people. You could meet them online as well, and have conversations like this. I'm not So, but it is important to physically, in real life, get out there and meet people, and that will help carry you through all the vicissitudes, if you will, of how life works and how our professional journeys unravel.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Critically important.
critically important. I
And
wanted to.
Bob, it's like a
Yep.
lifeblood. I mean, it really is. It keeps everything pumping, you know? Unless you're out there meeting new people and hearing new ideas and even letting people challenge yours, I mean, which I think is critical, you wind up talking to yourself, and there's no value in that.
So, Michael, back to, because I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to ask you to elaborate, expound, if that's the right word, when you were saying something about marketing, looking the same in general. It's a generalization. I realized.
There are exceptions and good ones.
Of course. And if you and I are working on those projects, those are the exceptions.
So,
as history would prove. We listen. I agree. I was a creative director, copywriter, and worked with designers, worked with you, worked with 500 plus clients, and I always took pride in being exceptionally creative. And now we know we're dabbling. I told you off camera before I hit record how much I'm using technology. I know you are. I'm dabbling in AI. I'm teaching AI in the classroom. In the business classes I teach at Suffolk University, we've introduced quite a bit of AI, and same in all the schools I teach at. I think it's too easy almost for people to think, oh, just press a button, something's written. Press another button, something's designed, and then press a third button, boom, 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 and it's been sent to your customers. Tell me what you think. I mean, that's my way of simplifying things. A little too much technology and not enough creativity and strategy. What do you think the answer is to this marketing all looking the same?
well, I think that it's the pinnacle question, right? I think that folks are struggling today with just how much impact AI has and should have on the industry. And way back when we worked together on your live roadshow in last November, we had a really cool discussion with a panel of people almost on this topic. And one of the things that everybody landed on at once was that we have to make sure that we keep the humanity in the process. It's very easy to allow us to use AI in a way where you get the answer back and you go, wow, that's great. We'll just use that. And why not? It's so easy, and we're under time pressure, we're under budget pressure, we're under all kinds of pressure to get this. It's faster and faster and faster. But I don't think we can allow that to happen. I still think that where AI can be so useful is in helping us to make what we do better, not the other way around. So we don't want to turn it into a slave. We really want to turn it into a sounding board, an advisor, maybe it gives us or points us in the right direction when we're struggling for a thought or how to handle anything from a piece of copy to an image to a whole campaign. But the way that I've been using it personally has been more and more sort of as an integrated consultant. And in the final analysis, I'm in charge. I'm the one who has to say, this is good, or this is what I would do with it. And after a while of training these models, they learn who you are. So they sort of get used to working with you. So I don't want to fly off onto too much of a tangent here, but I think that AI, it's sort of like when the internet came out. You remember how scared everybody was? It was like, the internet's going to replace everybody, and we're going to, it didn't. And it will never will do that. AI, I think, is the same thing. It's our responsibility to learn how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And, now, if you don't learn how to use it, will you be replaced? Maybe, because there will be people learning how to use it.
Well, on that note, I think back to, again, when we first met and what we were both doing, certainly what I was doing. I absolutely feel and know a lot of the basic writing that I was doing back then I wouldn't call it basic, but you know what I mean. Some of the simpler projects, and I guarantee, I know for a fact, many companies are now not maybe hiring someone like me 30 years ago and just using AI. And I think that's why the results are so homogenized, are so generic, so similar from brand to brand, company to company, especially the smaller companies and smaller brands that don't have the bigger budgets. And so, yeah, use AI and pump that creative out there, but that creative might not, probably won't work as well as if you put the effort we did back in the day into it. So I think you got to use these AI tools, these technologies, almost, like you were describing, as a partner. You're in charge, and I think we're all going to go through this learning curve, and it's going to be interesting because it's really going to turn business and maybe the world, period, upside down.
Well, I think it already has to a large degree, and I think that the other problem is the fact that we use our powers for good or evil. I think that we really need to be really, really careful with this tool because it's so powerful and it's changing. I feel like it's changing almost daily. I mean, you probably get some of the same feeds that I do, that I subscribe to, that gives us a rundown. One of them is the rundown on the status of AI, and every day
Yes.
there are 5 or 6 new models they're introducing, or there's a new company that's specializing in something else. And so it's changing so rapidly, and these models are getting so smart that you wonder where the sky's the limit with this thing.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the dawn of the internet and the emergence of social media. Absolutely, do I liken it to those days, Michael? And I know you were, heads down at Rockland and Citizens and Santander during many of those years. I was in the agency world, and I was writing. Again, writing. It seems hard to believe. Young people would not believe how manual, how much brain power, how tedious, writing is. I feel like writing, I know I'm emphasizing that word, but I feel like it might go out of style because you can press just the button and there it appears. But I was immersed in social media and learning it, and it was changing repeatedly. And like you just said, AI is going to be the same thing. And we're going to see a new type of workforce and new types of companies.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's get back to your company. We're going to talk for, we're about halfway through. We got about half an hour total. I'd say we're about halfway through. I want to make sure we focus a lot on what you're doing today and sleight of brand and how you tie magic into marketing. Or you can explain that much better than I can. Please take the stage with that question. Take the mic.
Well, thank you. Sleight of brand, really, folks, I think that all I've tried to do here is to take my own experience as a consumer of pretty high-end marketing services, especially in recent years, where our departments were paying a lot of money to some big agencies to come up with bigger ideas, things that would move us forward in the marketplace, that would connect us with our target audiences in ways that would be really, really meaningful. And I experienced a lot of challenges in that regard. Despite the input that we would provide, it felt like we were not getting back the best work that we could. In fact, the last experience that I had, which really drove me to thinking about this more, was one in which we had done 9 months of research with an excellent research company that did all of the right things, including identifying the white space where our small business banking offering could operate with gravity. And we gave our agency the briefing and the details in the research and everything right down to the KPIs. And what we got back was sort of homogenous. It felt like every other bank to me. We're looking for a differentiator. We have a differentiated value proposition for this white space. Help me get there. And in the end, I had to come up with the concept.
Yeah.
Now, it was a derivative of something that they had presented. But my point is this: it didn't take it far enough. Like, they didn't push the envelope at all. It stopped with a very basic tenet. And it just didn't go far enough to kind of tilt one's head a little bit. And so I called the head of strategy and I said, here's what I'd like to suggest. And at the end of the day, tell them you did it, because I don't want to, they were a great bunch of people. I just wanted to work with them as a team. That's what we wound up running with for the campaign. And we did a great job after that, knitting it together with, sales integration and everything that we had to do to make that work. But after numbers of years watching this happen and then being in the seat where I was the one responsible for coming up with this new campaign and having to really spoon feed that agency, it got me to thinking, like, why are they not going far enough? Why are they not thinking harder? Why am I having to? So when I left the bank, I put together a program that was based upon a specific methodology that magicians use. There's a very famous Spanish magician whose name is Juan Tamariz. A lot of American audiences may never have heard of him, but in magic circles, he is like a master of masters. He's a master teacher and a master magician. And the Spanish magicians are in a class of their own. And he has a process called the Magic Way. And the Magic Way is I won't call it a step-by-step process, because it's really based upon very divergent thinking, or what we also know as lateral thinking. Lateral thinking was a concept that a psychologist by the name of Edward de Bono came up with in the late 60s.
Very similar to brainstorming, right, Michael? Sorry to interrupt, but that's what you're describing. This lateral thinking is another way to brainstorm ideas. Am I correct?
Yes.
But much more. Go
yes,
ahead.
And that's a good segue, Bob. And you're right with me, because it kind of takes brainstorming to a different level. When we brainstorm, or a lot of brainstorming sessions that I've been a part of, we get into a room, we get to a whiteboard, we take our Post-it notes, people slap their ideas up on a board, and we talk about each one of them. But there's a purposeful part of divergent or lateral thinking that forces you to bounce those ideas off of each other, so that you kind of force them together in some ways to see what the result is. What if we combine this with this? What happens? Or what if we turn this upside down? What happens? What if we back into this from a different direction? What happens? So it's more questioning about the what ifs. It's more questioning about challenging the idea that's on the table to say, well, what would happen if we stuffed it in this way? And that's what magicians are doing all the time. Because the Magic Way suggests to us that when we come up with how something should be done, how a magic trick should work, it's really going to amaze somebody. There's this process that one goes through to say, we just don't have to think about how we would do it and once it's done. We have to think about every way that we can come up with to do it, so that we can not only build in the ultimate solution for what we're going to do, but we can also build in fake solutions. We can take the viewer to places where they think they might know what's going on, but they don't. Do we block them off at certain points so they go, wait a minute, he didn't do what I thought he was going to do, but he went this way. And at the end, what they're left with is, what the heck just happened?
Yep.
And as a magician, you know when that happens, because people react. You've seen some of the stuff I posted.
I sure
People
have.
are just like, what? Which is like, makes my heart flutter. So that's what I want as a creative person. I want my audience to go, wow, that was really moving, And it doesn't have to always be people jumping up and down. I mean, in a business setting, what we want is for the business owner or for the for the target to sit there and go, whoa, yeah, wow, that's got me thinking differently. That got me. I can relate to that. This was amazing. We have to talk to these people.
Michael, I'm going to segue because I'm watching the clock and we literally only have a few minutes left. So I want to make sure I get some important information out about Sleight of Brand and Michael Granoff. And with that said, I want to tell you, every time I see you since day one, I say, whoa. You were a magician from day one, in my eyes, and
Thank you.
in terms of
That's kind of you.
the brilliance and the creativity and how you articulate things. I want you to articulate because literally we're on a clock here with 2 minutes and counting. Tell us how people can reach you, concrete, succinct, what you can do for them, and maybe you could end, if you can do it all in 2 minutes, with a trick or two. I don't know. It's yours.
Sure. So you guys can find out more about me at my website, which is sleightofbrand.net. You can reach me there, and that is the best place to find me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I post there regularly. Subscribe to my newsletter, which is called Insightful Thinking. I try to come out with it every Friday. Most Fridays I do come out with it, taking a little break this summer, but just put out an edition today. And that's how you can reach me. And I would love to talk to people who want to talk about doing a workshop or a short presentation or even a show of sorts, that just to get people thinking. This is where I'm focused. Sleight of Brand is as much infotainment as it does to have something very pertinent to say and to offer. It doesn't attempt in any way to say to experienced creative people such as yourselves, oh, you're doing it wrong. No, you're doing a great job. I'm hoping that we can help you think about things a little bit differently.
So, Michael, we only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to end with you, if you don't mind. I'm putting you on the spot, but you're always ready. I can tell you're ready. You're poised to.
Always.
I wanted to give you the opportunity to do a little magic, work your magic.
Thank you.
You always have some tricks up your sleeve. I can only imagine what you will be able to demonstrate and maybe connect it back to marketing. That it's Bob Carr's marketing show. It's your Michael Granoff's magic show right now. And I know you're going to make some comparison to marketing. Take it away, Michael.
Well, thank you so much. Well, first of all, that the hat, very important. Got to have the hat. But I am going to show you. I'm going to show you. I have some coins, and this is a very famous trick. And here's what happens. It's very, very simple. There's 4 coins on the table, and you can see they're just like this. Now, here's what happens. If I take those coins and we just go, whoop, just a quick touch, here's what happens. Just like that. One travels to the other side. Here, we can do it again. See, there's one coin that traveled from here to here. We pick these up and quick tap and 2 across. Once again, 2 went from here to there. Quick tap, 3 go across. You getting the idea? 1 goes here, 3 went from here to here. Now the 4th one, tap, all 4 over here. Now here's what's interesting. I'm going to do
it's
this
all
again.
Interesting.
Here's what's interesting. I'm going to do this again, but this time you may have been suspect because I was actually holding the coins and covering them as I was doing this. But this time they're going to be right out in front of you, and you're going to see everything happen. Now watch. I can cover the coins like this. I can cover them like this, like this, like this. But if I do this and just wiggle, 1 moves from here to here. And then I do this, 1 moves from here to here. Here to here. Now the tough one is to get this one from the bottom to the top. And finally, the last one joining all 4.
What the heck?
In one place.
I'm watching really closely. I mean, we zoomed in on those 4 coins in your 2 hands and 10 fingers, and that's magic. That's what we call magic.
That is magic, my friend. Now, the reason that I paired those two things up is that the first iteration of that, folks, I'm sure, had some ideas on how that was taking place. And the reality is that I was using the same method each time. And it's a good trick, right? People like it. They react to it very, very nicely, and I've always had fun doing it. But when you move to the second layer and you put those 4 coins on the table the way we did, and we show them to you, and you're looking straight down at them, and all you see is somehow my hands are open as the coins are being moved around, then what happens? You're left with, what?
Yep.
That's amazing. So we've changed the conditions a little bit. We've turned the original idea on its head. Now we're not picking up coins and putting them in our hand. They're like moving themselves around the table. And this is what magicians do all the time to elevate the impact of the original ideas that they come up with. And they may very well present that sequence just the way that I did, because it builds momentum and interest. And these two things are amongst the favorite things I do when I'm sitting at a table like this, with a small group, because you can do it with people right on top of you. So my point here is that this is how my whole newsletter this week was about stacking this or stacking the deck. And this is what we do to stack the odds in our favor so that the end result is, oh my God, what just happened? And that's the kind of thing I'm trying to encourage marketers, creative teams, experienced designers, innovators, design thinkers to engage in more. Have fun with it and make it magical. And that when people say, here's the magic, I hear that a lot. But I'm trying to inject the real thing into what you're doing. And if it helps come up with more breakthroughs and more innovation that's meaningful, wonderful. That's all I'm trying to do.
Brilliant.
Doing along the way.
Applause.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to do that. That was fun.
You deserve the opportunity, and in front of as many people as we can possibly attract, Michael, to this podcast. But I want to see you. You've been on many stages. I want to see you on bigger stages with the world.
Me too. That would be great.
So let's try to make that happen. Let me say a few things I want to talk about in terms of your brand, your personal brand, and marketing. I, again, have known you for so many years, and I see you have crafted this ridiculously awesome personal brand. That's you as a magician with 30 plus, 35 plus, I don't know, years in business and in marketing, wearing the hat. That helps with the brand, by the way, the personal brand. That's the magician. What you have behind you, there's a certain look, but that isn't the only thing about branding. Branding is what we say about people, what we say about the product or service. Listen to what I'm saying about you. I'm saying, whoa. I'm saying, that is amazing. It's magical. You have it. Clearly, you're associated with expertise and knowledge in marketing, but then you have this innovative way of presenting it. And that would inspire, I would think, lots of agencies, marketing people, clients to do even better work and to not just rely on AI. What do you think?
I hope so. And that's part of the humanity that we were talking about earlier, because magic is a very human thing. Magic is not, or it shouldn't feel mechanized. I mean, even in the magic world today, there's a lot of technology, a lot.
Yeah.
But the best magicians do it and use it in such a way. It's just like we were talking about AI. You'd never know. It doesn't feel that way. It feels completely organic. And that's what we're trying to encourage. That's what magic does, I think. It connects with people emotionally. It connects with people in a wondrous way. It brings out human emotion. And that's what we're after. We're trying to bring a human element, a human thing to help us think more creatively about what we do. And there's all kinds of rubrics and lists and optimizers and AI and tools that, help you come up with this idea, that the next. But nothing is like magic to me. It's an art form that stirs people in a way that a lot of others don't. Maybe music, but that's what I do.
Yeah, listen, I see you do tricks. I see you talk. I know you through and through as a business person and a fellow marketer. But again, the combination, combining magic with marketing and the inspirational messages as well as the strategic thinking. Again, it's what we have to hold on to in this day and age. As you say, technology, the tools, AI, all of that, social media, very, very important. Combined with, again, when you were doing that coin trick, I'm watching your hands, I'm watching your fingers, I'm listening to you. And the other day you said something amazing that I read on LinkedIn. I try to read everything that you share, Michael. It's awesome. You and Sleight of Brand. But you said something about a magician, how much time a magician spends behind the scenes. It's not necessarily something like this, and you can tell it better. I'm going to give you that chance. It's not necessarily a trick or magic. It's all the investment of time. And I point that out in a lot of my motivational talks. I tell people, you got to do something over and over and over again, and you got to really be thinking about it, and your heart's got to be into it. And then, yeah, at the moment, it looks like, oh, wow, that individual's brilliant, or that product or service is amazing. But so much went on behind the scenes. Can you just take on that, segue, riff on that a little bit?
Absolutely, Bob. You're hitting on something which is a critical element of really developing any skill, which is the commitment to, as you say, what goes on behind the scenes, and that has everything to do with practicing your fundamentals as much as it does with anything else. None of what a magician does can be done consistently without constant practice. And what goes into creating a miracle behind the scenes is immense, really. I mean, I have one particular performance, maybe I'll do it for you on another show, that I developed more than 2 years ago with another magician in California. I'm still working on it. We're still evolving it.
Yep.
I've performed it many times, but it's still a work in progress. And I regard a lot of this still a work in progress. So we might, launch campaigns, and but we can always get better at what we're doing.
Yes.
So that's the behind the scenes. That's the sort of the Japanese way of looking at things, which is that constant and never-ending improvement all the time. That's what we're after. And the idea is just not to stop. Don't stop. Don't stop too soon.
I love that, Michael. A very good way, not that we have to stop, but I think we both have a tight schedule this afternoon. I want to wind things down. I want to say to you, first and foremost, Michael Granoff, and your Sleight of Brand, impressed as heck am I.
Thank you.
And I've been a fan of yours since the day I met you
Likewise, Bob.
35 years ago. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. And I'm honored you could be on my show, and I hope everyone has enjoyed today's episode 202 of Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember, you can consume this podcast on YouTube, elsewhere on social media. Podbean's my host, but it also goes out everywhere. Google, iHeart Media, and Apple, and Spotify, you name it. So winding down. Thank you again, Michael.
Thank you, Bob. This was a lot of fun. I hope we can do it again sometime.
We will. I really appreciate you. I appreciate my listeners and viewers. And thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.